Right, welcome to the Crafty Mariana Podcast. I am your host, Miranda, former corporate marketing girly turned crafting workshop host. And if you ever thought, can my crafts actually make money? Then this is the show for you. Each episode, I share stories from creative entrepreneurs who dare to think a little bit different and went beyond the make and sell model, along with lessons from my own journey building a six-figure workshop business. You can expect honest conversations about what it really takes to build a creative business. So grab yourself a cup of tea and let's dive in. Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Crafty Mariana Podcast. Today I have with me Miranda from Frøbel. Frøbel. Who is a creator in the Netherlands, and she hosts amazing workshops in her studio, and she's also become a friend, one of my fellow internet friends. So I'm very, very excited to talk with her and introduce the work that she's doing and talk a little bit of business. And yeah, we will just kick things off, and Miranda will I'm very bad at introducing people. I always feel like I don't do it enough justice. Maybe I should do like a course on journalism or something. But yeah, I always like people to introduce themselves because then they can say whatever they want to say. So if you don't mind, Miranda, to jump in and tell us a little bit about, who you are, what you do, and how Frøbel came about.
Problem. Well, I loved your introduction, so thank you for that. Well done. So yes, my name is Miranda. I'm 39 years old, living in the Netherlands. And while I hated my office job 2 years ago, I started Frøbel from my living room. It was just an idea I had, and I thought, let's create a website and put one Instagram ad to Insta and see what happens. And now we're like 2 years and a bit later, and I'm hosting workshops from my own studio. So it went quite fast and I'm very proud of where I am right now, but there's also a long way to go still.
Yeah, I think your studio looks so cool. Like I can't wait to have my own studio. It's been like a lot of work in the way. No, a lot of
on the
like
way,
preparing
But
preparing.
you're close now, right?
Yes, I've just confirmed. I'm getting the keys tomorrow, fingers crossed.
Mm.
And then I can start like the renovations and everything. So yeah, fingers crossed everything will go well. March is looking pretty busy, so but we'll see.
But from when do you think you can host your workshops from there?
Well, I have one on the 6th of March that I really want to do it there.
Cool, ambitious.
So I don't have a lot of time because I was meant to have this pop up in the city. That it's like a container that it's like wooden inside and really nice, but it's quite small, and I didn't realize how small it was when I booked it. And it's also quite cheap, so it's fine. But for this workshop, we're gonna be making polymer clay, and I need an oven. So all of these logistics that are like, actually the container is not fit for a lot of my workshops because you kind of need space and you need the equipment there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use it more as like a marketing thing because it's right in the city and there's so much foot traffic that, I can put like my posters and flyers and my roll-up banner in. I'll do a couple of workshops there. The chains and charms would be a really good workshop to have there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll try to set up the studio quite quickly, which is going to be a bit crazy.
But it will be
anyway,
fun.
this is not about me. I feel like because we know each other and we're friends, we might derail the conversation and not talk about like the basic stuff that we already kind of know. So 3 years ago, you started Frøbel from your living room, and what were you doing? What were you doing before that?
I was an enterprise customer success manager at a SaaS platform, so software.
Yeah,
so
that sounds
basically just taking my customers on a journey through our platform and explaining them how to use it and how to get most out of it. But also while switching platform to platform, it became more strategic. So I needed to get like more money out of the customer, and that just didn't
Mm,
suit me anymore. I really
yeah.
enjoy like taking them along, helping them, showing them how to get most out of what they're paying for. So that's basically also what I'm doing right now,
Mm-hmm.
showing my participants how to, yeah, take most out of the material they're working with. So there's some
Mm-hmm.
similarity.
Yeah. Do you feel like that job has like taught you some stuff that you're applying now in your business?
Good question. Well, yes and no. I think all the jobs I had taught me how
Mm-hmm.
how to get where I am right now. So also how to deal with more difficult situations, but how to work with Excel, how to do my finances. All these things you learn from all the
Mm-hmm.
jobs you're having. You can really,
Totally.
yeah, use it at some point. And I think I never had any ambition to start my own company, so that's quite funny actually. I just started because I didn't know what else to do, and I just wanted to do something to get pleasure out of, instead of crying behind my laptop all day long in the office. So yeah, it just happened. And a friend of mine, when I started, she said to me, now that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, you'll see everything will go like so easily. And she was completely right. So yeah.
Yeah. That is so true. I'm pretty sure we've talked about it before, but yeah, I think that's probably why we vibe so much because I relate a lot with that. Like I started my business and I started hosting workshops because it's like, oh, this fun thing. Like I didn't have that ambition of like I'm going to be my own
Business
boss. Like
owner.
I've
Yeah.
yeah, like I had marketing jobs that I really liked, but then when I was at this the last marketing job I had, I was just so bored there. And the job was not bad. Like it's not like I wasn't being treated badly. Like the job itself was fine, but I was just bored. Like the marketing
Yeah.
task that they wanted me to do was just so basic because they had a sales team. So the marketing was more like marketing admin. And I'm very like, what I love about marketing is like the performance marketing, like getting
Mm.
results. And so I was just so bored there. And I also I created an online course for them. It was like an internal like training system. And while I was doing that, I was having so much fun. I loved the first 6 months of the job. But then that was done, and I was like, what do I do with myself?
Yeah.
Like, I was just so bored. Anyway, yeah, so I totally
Totally
feel you.
resonates. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally feel you. For me, it was like, oh, this feels, and that thing your friend said as well, like, wow, yeah, I agree with that. I think, yeah, I agree a lot with that. Especially since I got like a better handle of my workshop business and the online stuff, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I know what I'm doing. And now
Yes.
like I'm hiring people to do the workshops and can do more of the online stuff, but still do the workshops. Yeah, like that balance. When I finally figure out that balance, like, oh, I know what I'm doing, things just started flowing a bit more.
Yeah, they
So,
say it takes like a year to understand what you're supposed to do, and then 3 years to get quite comfortable with it, and then
mhm.
7 until you're like completely like senior in your own role. So
Interesting. Okay.
yeah, I'm already, I'm not sure if these numbers are right. There's probably someone
Yeah.
listening saying, what's she talking about? But
Yeah.
um, now that I'm in year 3, just the
Hmm.
start of year 3,
Yeah.
I really get the feeling like, if something goes wrong or I forget to bring something to an outside workshop that I really need, I'm fine. While I would be completely panicking in the beginning. I'm like,
Hmm.
well, I can fix it somehow,
Mhm.
right or left.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Mhm.
that's also a nice feeling.
Yeah, yeah. Nah, I totally agree. I'm only on um well, when I started hosting workshops it was around February, March of 2023.
Hmm.
So it would have been
Then
two
we're in the
years.
same, it's in the same
Yeah,
page, but it's
yeah.
like calendar year 3, but
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, complete year, yeah,
Yeah,
not
but then I,
even,
I started
not
my
even two.
business. I didn't start my business straight away because when I first started doing workshops, I was doing it with someone else. So then I started my business in July. So I've only had my business for a year and a half, but technically I've been hosting workshops for 2 years almost. So
Yeah.
I relate with that as well. So it's funny because we kind of started at the same time almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's why
Yeah.
we can
Yeah, that's
connect
why we
so well.
vibe. Yeah. So when you okay, I'm just trying to like break down your sort of storyline a bit more because I think that people, you used to telling your story, so you tell it very succinctly, but I can already see the questions people are gonna have, so I'm trying to like break it down so that, you don't get a million questions or I don't get a million questions. So you were in this job you didn't really like, and did you quit and went and started workshops, or did you start them before you quit?
No, I started my new job in January and I gave my first workshop in
Mm-hmm.
April. So it went quite similar. So I had my first month and I was like, oh, I don't like this work anymore. I realized, and it was terrible
Mm-hmm.
because I just switched jobs. So I felt sort of guilty to my new employer.
Mm-hmm.
So at first I thought I should do something in my spare time that makes me happy so I can do both. Because honestly, the pay of the office job was like quite nice. And so I created my website in March, and my tactics were to plan the first workshop at the end of April. So if people would book and pay for the workshop, I could use
Mm-hmm.
that money to buy the material for the
Yeah.
workshop end of April. So that's basically how I started, and I just did it from my living room in during the weekends and sometimes on Thursday nights. So for about a half year, I think, yeah, I just we're running. I was running basically two jobs, and I didn't really realize that if you want to grow your company, it takes a lot
Yeah.
of your time. So yeah, I was trying to have a social life, working a lot in two jobs, so that wasn't great. I would not recommend to do it the way I did, but the effort
Mm-hmm.
paid off because in October 2023, so in my first year, after I started in April, I decided that I could quit my job and make a switch to doing it full time. And it
Mm-hmm.
was a leap, of course, because I just had a good feeling about it, basically. I was looking at my
Mm-hmm.
numbers and I was like, well, looks like if I can do more workshops and work like also during the week, then I can probably just live from it. And it would be like a
Mm-hmm.
huge cut in my income. But I was completely fine with it because, it's so valuable to do something you love every single day.
Mm-hmm.
So I told my boss or my manager in October that I was going to quit at the end of the year. So I told him like I will finish my contract so we can find someone new and I can introduce this person to my job. And he was like, well, it was a matter of time. So he responded actually quite nicely, and I was very clear about it from the beginning that I was starting my own business. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
because I was also very proud of it
Mm-hmm.
and I was having a lot of joy out of it. So they could notice like a shift in how I
Mm-hmm.
felt. And so by the end of the year, so basically after running my own business for 8 months, I quit my
Mm-hmm.
job and started doing it full time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's you said that you don't recommend someone to do that, but I think that's the best way because at the start, like even if you have the numbers to back it up, there's just so much that you don't know. And
Mm,
I mean, I already didn't had a job when I started hosting workshops, but in that first year, I thought about, oh, maybe I get a part-time job while I grow the business. I didn't do that because then it went pretty good, but yeah, I think that's it can be a bit tricky because then you're stretching yourself almost with two jobs basically, but I think you
yeah.
did good. I think that's a good way of going about it. And so or
Well,
during
thanks.
those 8 months you were just doing in your house.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
so while my supplies grew, my house got
Mhm.
like smaller and smaller.
Yeah, of course.
So at first I had like a smaller living room table, so I could seat like six people or eight quite tightly.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
bought a new table so I could place more people. And by the end I had like 12 in my living room, but there was like an extra table added to it. And you can see it here. It's not that
Yeah.
big.
Yeah.
So yeah, and my house is like 100 years old, so everything is crooked. So the first workshop I gave, it was a jasmonite workshop. And for
Mm-hmm.
everyone who doesn't know what jasmonite is, it's a composite. So it's like a liquid material. You pour it into silicone mold, and then it will dry into the air. So it's a great product because it dries within 30 minutes. So you
Oh wow.
get to bring along your accessories, for example, home quite fast. So the first workshop, I just told them, "Oh, you can put it on the cupboard to dry." And then by the end of the workshop, all the like little trinket dishes, they were all
Mm-hmm.
a little bit crooked because the way it was
Yeah.
standing there was all crooked. So you learn by doing.
Yeah.
And the other day, I had a girl in a workshop in my studio, and she's like, "I still have a crooked dish
Oh,
from yeah." So and now
that's
it's
so
becoming
cute.
a thing. Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, very funny.
Yeah. Yeah, that's such a great story because I think a lot of people overthink like the process of delivering the workshop and they over like analyze everything that could go wrong and then it stops them from doing things. But the reality is that every now and then there's something that goes wrong. And usually like if it's something that you genuinely like, you know, didn't know that it could happen and it happened and people usually like as long as apologize or explain the situation, most people don't really have a problem with it. I think they appreciate that you're doing something and it's usually just fine. Like people are more supportive than not, I found.
Then you
But
think, yeah, I totally agree. I had a talk
yeah.
with a girl the other day who wanted to start her own business as well, and she saw
Mhm.
so many problems. I was like,
Mhm.
just create a website, take some nice pictures of what you do, make an ad, and just see what happens. Why
Mhm.
not just start and see where it goes instead of keep in the like to stay in the thinking process. It's
Yeah,
such a waste of your energy.
it
But
really
on the
is.
other
Yeah.
hand, I think a good entrepreneur just goes and tries. And if you
Mhm.
see too many things that go wrong, maybe it's not for you. And that's also fine.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's just
Yeah.
something you have to experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I totally agree. That's so true. But yeah, I think a lot of people stay in that thinking phase and, I
Yeah.
guess it's not
Yeah,
for
for sure.
everyone and that it's fine. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see that as
Yeah.
well with like, because I've grown quite a bit of an audience and I always get the same questions. And I'm like, just do it. Just do
Yeah.
it. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, because so many things like you can have you can have all my templates and all the frameworks and the strategies and the lessons and everything, but at the end of the day you still have to go and do it
Hmm.
and you learn so much in the process of doing it. But yeah, anyway, so 8 months in your home with the crooked trinket dishes,
Yeah.
well, hopefully not all of them, but at least from one
No.
session.
Yeah.
um
Yeah. Only from the first ones, and then we switched
yeah.
to the kitchen countertop, which is
Yeah.
obviously leveled out. So yeah,
Yeah.
better.
Yeah. And then once you quit your job, did you continue doing it at your home or when did you get the studio?
No, I switched straight away because I was like, if I'm going to do this full time, I don't want to be in all of this mess full time. I was so sick of
Mm-hmm.
having all the stuff everywhere. My house is like tiny, so there were in every little corner there was stuff from my workshops, and it annoyed me basically. And I just wanted to have a space where you'll know
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to have a space where I could close the door, go home, and deal with all the mess at a later stage if I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
So I started searching, and I'm not sure what the English word is for it, but if you have like an empty office space, they rent it out for until it get demolished for like a lower amount of money. Maybe they don't have it in New
Mm.
Zealand, but
Yeah, no, I don't
okay.
think like we have government programs that they help you, and that's how I got that container in the city. Like they'll help you go into a space temporarily,
Mm-hmm.
but not because the building is being demolished. Like if the building is being demolished, I don't think they would let because we have a lot of earthquakes here, so
Oh,
if the
yeah,
building
okay.
is about to be demolished, it's because
It's
like
not
no,
safe.
you cannot,
Yeah.
yeah, you cannot go in there.
Yeah.
Um
Well, I
But
guess
yeah.
sometimes they don't know what they're going to do with the building. So, well, whatever. But I've seen like many locations, but it was like, I don't know, it just looked so unwelcoming. And, these creative workshops, you want like a nice space that looks nice, and I want to have parking in front of it and everything. And one of the places I had a look at, which was quite interesting though, it was an old horse farm.
Hmm.
So, and it had like a big canteen where I could do the workshops, and I could use like the whole like sandbox where the horses normally go in. I could use that too. So I was thinking like, oh, I could like do paint throwing stuff, and I don't know, but they told me, yeah, it's possible you can stay here for 6 months, maybe 2 years. We're not sure. It was depending on
Hmm.
an owl. If the owl was living there, I could stay. If it was not, I couldn't. So yeah, it's like, well,
Oh,
I'm not going to like make everything nice and then there's no owl and I need to move again. So by the
that's
end,
so
I
messed
just
up.
yeah, interesting, right? I just
Mhm.
asked on my Insta to my friends and family, like, does anyone know a place? And a friend of mine, his dad has this nice building, and he had a space for me, and he rented it out to me for a very friendly price. So I'm very, very, very glad that he helped me starting. So I told him
Mhm.
like I could do like a smaller amount the first year, and maybe the year after we can go up a little bit. So yeah, we
Mhm.
made a good agreement for that.
Mhm.
So I got the keys in November, started painting and everything, and then from January on, I could do all my workshops from my studio.
Mhm. Cool. So you spend the whole of 2024
Yeah,
at the studio. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Your studio looks really cool. I really like it. Like the colors and
Thanks.
everything. Yeah. So you started at your studio in 2024, and so what kind of workshops do you do mostly?
Well, the most popular one is Jasmonite for sure.
Mhm.
I think it's the technique is really cool. You can do like many different styles with it. So there's
Mhm.
always anyone can make something that they like.
Mhm.
And I teach like everything in one course. So it's not that you do a basic one and then you can follow up. I'll just tell
Mhm.
you everything. So that's for sure the most popular one. I also do candle decoration. So there's
Yeah.
dipping and marbling and painting. I do lino printing. That's
Mhm.
also quite nice. And arm knitting. So
I'm
you
knitting.
use your
Yeah.
arms and you have like
Mhm.
this big chunk of wool and you make
Mhm.
like a really nice blanket. I wanted to show it, but it's not there. So
Mhm.
never mind.
I know you mean though. I know you mean. I've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
those are the workshops I'm doing right now.
Wow. And you do that throughout the year, just those
Yeah.
four workshops.
Yeah.
Wow. And you always have people coming in to do them.
Well, not always. So in the weekends, yes, there's always people coming in. I also teach workshops during the week.
Mhm.
I'm now, only now, just looking into what are the days and times that were booked most last year, so I can get like
Mhm.
a better understanding of that. But it's also hard because sometimes if I put on a workshop on a Tuesday morning,
Mhm.
one week, two people will book, and the other week, nine people will book, and I have no
Mhm.
clue,
Mhm.
what's the difference.
Yeah.
So I just put it in there. If people book, it's nice. If they don't, it's also nice because it means I can spend my time on other parts of my
Other
business
things. Yeah.
or just sit outside
Mhm.
and drink a
Mhm.
glass of wine.
Yeah. 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 So
Yeah.
when you have just two people booking, do you still run it
I run it from 4.
from four? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, because
So if you,
otherwise it's
yeah, it's
not
not.
worth the effort and my time.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. No, I totally agree. I do the same. I usually try to do five, but I have run workshops with four people. And what do you do? So if you have a workshop that you have two people, do you try to
Mm.
reschedule those two people for another date?
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
give them always the option. I always tell them you can cancel as well if that's what you want.
Hmm.
But obviously, I try to reschedule
Yeah.
them to another day. So I already look ahead and see what days have enough people who are already booked, so I can add them to it so they know for sure it will go on. But I think out of all of my workshops, uh, the whole last year, I think I canceled. 4 or 5, not that much.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Same
it's
with
quite
me.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, wow, it's so amazing that you do just those 4 workshops um and always have like a stream of people coming through. I find that if I do one workshop a lot,
Hmm.
the sales just slow down, so I need to take a break from that workshop and come up with other crafts and then bring it back later. Um,
So
but yeah, maybe it's just different.
how do you look at your numbers then? Because you have like a high rate of bookings for a certain amount of time, and then it lowers to like a certain percentage.
Yeah, like it'll just slow down and I won't be able to fill like at least 10 tickets.
Uh,
Um,
okay.
because I always try to do like groups of 10 to 15, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
20, but I don't do groups of 20 as much now because I've been like hiring people and train them and it gets a bit overwhelmed. It's like I can do a group of 20, but if I'm doing a group of 20 and training someone, that just gets
It's too
too
much.
much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then also with the people that I'm hiring, like they'll have to be doing workshops consistently for a while with me for me to feel like okay they can handle a group of 20 people because I
Yeah.
don't want them, I don't want them to have a bad them and the people to have a bad experience,
It will be bad for everyone for sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because I know I can do it, but that's because I've been doing it for such a long time and I'm very confident,
Yeah.
but with someone that's a bit more green, like yeah,
Yeah.
I
No,
don't
it
want
has to be
to
fun for them as well. But
yeah.
I'm also thinking, how far ahead can people book your workshops? Because if you don't have like your own studio, you're
Hmm.
dependent on the spaces you booked. How far ahead is it
Hmm.
possible to book a workshop with you?
Usually like 2 or 3 months in
Oh, okay.
advance,
Still quite good.
because I've done workshops in other cities as well, and I've booked different venues in my city, but in my city, I mostly use one venue, which is a cafe,
Mm.
and I have a good relationship with them, so it's very easy. Like they can see my calendar, and it's very easy to book workshops there.
Oh, that's good.
So, but now with the studio, I'm excited to have yeah more far ahead in advance. I don't know if people
Yeah.
will book that far ahead in advance. Like I have no idea because I've never. They do.
They will, yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm getting in January. So in every last month of a quarter, I'm putting like 2 quarters ahead online. So let's say in December, I put on a
Okay.
Q2 for this year.
Yeah.
So in March, I will putting in Q3. In January, I'm receiving bookings for May and June already
Oh
because,
wow.
yeah, but it's, if you look at yourself, if you have a group of like 3 or 4 friends,
Mm-hmm.
people have lives and it's hard
Yeah.
to plan something. So, yeah, they
Yeah.
like to plan ahead. So that's why I was asking you, like, how far ahead is it possible to
Mm-hmm.
book? And looking at the numbers that are lowering, because yes, now the numbers are lowering towards June, but they're still high in March,
Yeah.
April. So for me, it's like more consistent, I think.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I'm excited to try those, like to try different things in the studio because it'll be yeah. When you were saying about coming home in the mess and like I'm actually pretty lucky because my house is big enough that I can still like have all the crafts in the garage
That's
in
great.
in or the office and not see them.
In the
But
living
then
room, yeah.
yeah, but then still like when I go to do something and just seeing all the mess, like I really want like a purpose built like thing that things have their own places and it feels
Yes.
organized. And when I want to do something, like I'm just taking something and putting on a table and not like, oh, I have to set up this table now in the garage and
Yeah.
where are my paintbrushes? Like I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited to have the studio. I'm so lucky because the space that I'm signing is it came out of nowhere and it's also like a really good deal because I'm sharing it's like this huge warehouse and I'm sharing it with the guys that bought it and they
Hmm.
operate their businesses out of it as well, so I'm gonna get a really good deal, and they just seem really cool, so it'll be cool to
Nice.
not like be alone in the space but still
Yeah.
have my own because it's kind of like a room within the warehouse sort of thing.
All right. And the other people are in other rooms in the warehouse
Yeah,
then.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's
Like
nice.
like
Yeah.
the downstairs sort of used to be like the garage.
Hmm.
It's like a gym they could do like yoga classes and mobility classes and massages. Because it has like the gym in a room for massages, and then upstairs there's my room that has a kitchen. And then there's this other smaller room that I think they said was going to be a podcast studio for someone.
Okay.
And that's kind of like attached to my room, but has its own like wall and door. And then there's another room kind of in the back of my room that almost feels like a hallway sort of room.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like a tattoo studio for
Okay.
one
So
of
they
one
just
of the
need a
guys who
chair.
owns it.
And yeah.
Yeah, they don't
Yeah.
need that much space. And it has a lot of natural light in that room because I think there's like a skylight thing in the ceiling, so it works really really good for them to
Yeah, that's
have that room
perfect.
for the tattoos.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm very excited about it because I was like, can I paint the walls pink? And the guy was like, yeah, sure, but let's negotiate this shade of pink. Yeah. But I think it'll be fine. Like I think we're gonna go for more like a peachy pink. I think that's what he's vibing.
Have
But
some
I mean,
inspiration for you.
amazing. Yeah, like anything that's like feminine in light, like whatever. Like I'm getting such a good deal that I'm not gonna be like no. And also the walls right now are black, so anything other than black will be good.
Yeah. That's
so
gonna
yeah,
be a
I'm very-
challenge to go from black
Yeah.
to pink.
I
Yeah,
know.
you're probably gonna spend a lot of paint and time
Yeah.
on it.
I'm accounting for like next week. I don't have much going next week. I have another interview on Tuesday as well, but other than that, yeah, I don't have a lot of things to do because my workshops, they only start on the 6th of March, and
Perfect.
yeah, so fingers crossed. I think it'll be like, three layers of primer and then 2 layers of paint. It'll probably be quite an expensive job, but I think it's going to look really good. So
I think so
fingers
too.
crossed.
Make sure
Yeah.
to time lapse the whole thing. It's fun to look at afterwards.
True.
Yeah.
True. I need to do that. I'll try. Yeah, I'll do my best. I've been to the space a couple times and I took some photos, but yeah, I need to like just leave my tripod there and just try to make some content. That'll be cool.
Yeah, nice.
All right. So yeah, it's really amazing that you do just those 4 workshops, like those types of workshops, in still running a really good business. Let me see here from the questions that I have. Who do we do workshops? Gosh, I feel like how did you come up with the idea or with like the structure of your workshops? Like why Jasmonite? Like what
How
were
did
you
it all happen?
thinking?
Well,
Yeah.
I've seen like a year of videos of Jasmonite on my Instagram. So my Instagram knows me like really well. So it keeps providing me with stuff that I like. And after a year, I was like, well, let's just order a pack and see what this stuff is. And it just got me. I woke up in the morning and the first thing I did in my pajamas, I ran to my room. I was like, what should I make today? Trying new techniques and everything. So yeah, I really, really, really like the material because I just love it. When you create something in half an hour, you can actually see what it is. So, and you could play with all these different types of colors. You can make terrazzo. You can add like gold leaves to it. So there's just so much you can do. So that was just, it just stuck on me. And I wanted to do a workshop myself. So I was Googling to see where I could do it in the surroundings. The answer was nowhere. So that's what made me think maybe I should teach these workshops. So that's where the Jasmonite started. The candles, it was just a coincidence. I was at a fair, and part of the fair was that you could do some creative workshops. And me and my friend, we made this marbled candle. I still have mine somewhere. It's so ugly. It was like I wasn't good at it, but I loved the experience and I thought it looked nice. Now I know how to make it like really nice. And so this friend of mine, she said to me like, "Oh, maybe you can make a new workshop out of it." And I was like, "Yeah, well, candle marbling, it's like you're done in 20 minutes. So that's not so much fun. So that's how the candle dipping was added, and later the painting. So it sort of just came to me. And then after that, I added the lino printing. I just saw a lot of videos of it on Instagram again, and I started trying to do it myself and found the right materials and just went from there. And the last one, the arm knitting, I got approached by Sarah. She owns this company, September 18. And basically, what she does is like a crafting box subscription. So every month you get a new box. And she approached me if I wanted to create a Jasmonite box for her members. And I was like, yes, of course I will. And we actually became friends and got in great contact. She's been in the business for many years already. So I could ask her for some advice in some cases, and we could complain about the same thing. So that was actually really nice. You
Yeah.
know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And after a while, she told me, like, we used to do these arm knitting workshops, but we don't want to do them anymore. Would you be interested in doing them? I can give you a good deal on the wool that you use, and I can send everyone that comes to me towards to you. So I was like, well, yes, I've done it before and I liked it, so let's give it a try. So that basically
Hmm.
just was
Yeah.
given to me. So yeah, that's how it happened. And now I'm trying to add another workshop
Hmm.
because the lino printing for me as a teacher is not as fun, because you
Hmm.
teach people how to do the cutting and then they just go for like 2 or 3 hours, and I'm like, what should I do
Hmm.
now?
Hmm.
And I get more like fun out of it if there's more activity for me as well during the workshop.
Hmm.
So I'm trying to learn to do the jelly plating. It's like this very
Okay.
interesting technique where you could build an artwork in different types of layers. I'm not good
Mm.
at it yet.
Hmm.
So I tried it the other day, and I wanted to make a video to put on my Insta to see, if people liked it or not, but I couldn't even make like a good video to show how the process works. But that's it. That is the fun part, I think, of
Hmm.
adding or trying to add a new workshop, to try it out yourself and become good at it, so you can
Yeah.
help others to become good at it as well.
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
never heard of that. I have no idea what that craft is. You have to show me pictures
Well, yeah. Well, I can
afterwards.
show you like one of my two of my artworks I made. I
Oh
think this
yeah, show
one's
me.
quite cool. So
Okay,
basically,
it's
what you do, so it's all like, well, this is not great. Never mind. But what you do is you
mm,
have this plate of
mm-hmm,
gelatin, and you
mm,
put paint on it, and then you pressure some structure in it. So here you can see all these lines. It's just
mm,
from like a ribbon, and
yeah.
the letter M, it's just from a stamp. And once you've added the structure, you wait until the paint dries, and you add a new layer. And in the new layer, you can also put new structures.
Oh,
But I've also seen like many other options where you can, well, I don't know, it's too long to talk about, but it's fun. I'll
mm.
send you a video of
Yeah,
someone
send me
who
a
knows how
video.
to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious. It sounds quite complicated, but could be really cool when you know what to do and you can make the
Yeah.
process simple. Have you
Yes.
ever thought
Well, that's the
about
challenge.
polymer clay?
I actually did two polymer clay
Okay.
workshops as a Christmas workshop in 2023, and they were both fully booked. It was quite
Mm-hmm.
popular. But I need an oven for it, and my new studio space doesn't have an oven, and
Mm.
there was no space for it as well. And I wasn't sure if I liked the workshop as much.
No,
I
okay.
know it's
Mm-hmm.
very, very popular, especially here in the
Yeah,
Netherlands.
yeah,
But I think most important is that I have like, I should love it.
yeah,
Because if
yeah.
I don't love it, I cannot teach it in the right way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
feel you. I feel you.
So what's your
Yeah,
most popular workshop?
it's polymer clay.
Yeah?
Yeah. That's the one I do the most, and also like all my private bookings are usually also for polymer
Yeah.
clay, especially because the first workshops that I started hosting when I was doing with someone else was like it was called Cocks and Cocktails, and you can imagine what people came to do.
Yes.
And and there was like with polymer clay. So that's kind of where I noticed like a lot of private bookings, especially for like hens do's,
Yeah.
that they want to do that's sort of like, body part sculpting because it's fun and it's like it's what you do for hens do's. So most of my bookings, like now that I have a studio, I'm gonna start like investing a bit more in advertising to get like
Hmm.
corporate bookings from companies. Like I've had groups from companies come to my workshops and they book like 5 tickets or 10 tickets, and I
But
think they
out
just
of
like,
like the
or
bigger group, so just an open workshop in which
yeah,
they join. Yeah.
yeah. But I want to like start investing more in getting companies like to book their own private workshops,
Yeah.
adding to my public ones. And they probably won't be doing like body parts sculpting, but
Most
with
likely.
any, yeah, but with any other crafts, like it could work.
Yeah. I have
But
quite
yeah,
some companies coming over to do a workshop.
yeah,
Yeah. But there's
I
also,
think.
it's like 50-50 because the other half wants me to come to their office, for example. So
Okay.
you can still have
Yeah,
your own space, but they just want you to
yeah,
come there. So, but
yeah,
that's fine for me as well. I like it.
yeah, yeah. I wouldn't mind that. Because yeah, I probably wouldn't. I would just get someone to help me and go do them at the space.
Yeah.
Even now with the studio, like the goal is to kind of set up the studio that most of the workshops are run by my helpers, so that I can like grow the business, focus on growing the business on the online stuff, and also like I want to go travel, so I want to go visit you
Mm-hmm.
this year.
Can't
And
wait.
if I can, yeah, if I can set up that the workshops are still running while I'm away, that's like the dream. Because
Yes.
then, I know that I'll still have to, I can probably be away for a couple of months and I'll still have to be, around. But I
Hmm.
think there's so much work I can do from the laptop. So
For sure. Yeah. Not,
fingers
oh, you're,
crossed. Yeah.
I'm not crossing my fingers. You'll get there. I know it for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
I
I'm
have the feeling
excited.
you're quite close already. You have your
Yeah.
whole team already. You're sort of mapping out your holiday. So people will
Yeah.
know what's ahead. They'll know that
Yeah.
you will be, well, there, but online.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
really, really cool.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm excited. Just trying to do the right things at the right times, but it always feels like sometimes you just don't know. Because last year I also tried to get a studio, but I think it was just like too soon, and I was freaking out too
Mm.
much about it. But this year it feels like no, this is just like it's just the right step. Like
Yeah,
there's no question about it.
it will
Um,
cost money, but it will bring you
yeah,
ease. Yeah.
yeah, and I also think like it will allow me to make more money because
Yes.
then I actually have a space that, I can try different things and not have to like coordinate with someone, or I can do things in the mornings, while in the past, not that I'm thinking that I'm going to do many things in the mornings, but in the past there was not even an option because in the mornings the cafe is running.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that, and yeah, fingers crossed. That it goes well. I might have more questions for you about like the studio setup and whatnot, but
That's fine.
we'll get to it. I'll message you.
Yeah.
Now a little bit more about like I don't know how much you want, or you're comfortable with talking about like business and numbers and that sort of thing for you. But could you like give us an idea, like for example, how many workshops do you do a week?
Yeah, well, it depends really on the week.
Mhm.
So I could have like one week having 3 workshops and then the next week having 7. So that's
Mhm.
very, there's not like a set number.
Mhm.
I'm still trying to learn to plan in some free time as well, for
Mhm.
myself. So I'm doing it all alone. So I'm
Mhm.
still working every single weekend, while I think it would be good for me to,
Mhm.
take one weekend out of the month off. But that will also mean less money. And well,
Mhm.
at this point, you gotta make your choices. I gotta pay my
Yeah.
taxes. So yeah, so for now I'm working all weekend. So yeah, I don't have like a set amount of workshops each week, but for sure each weekend I will have one working day with 2 workshops, and sometimes two
Mhm.
working days with both 2 workshops.
Cool. So in a month, do you have like an average that you do a month, or does it also vary a lot?
I have no clue.
Yeah.
I know you're very much, we talked about this, I
Yeah.
think, like 2 months ago, and it's like, yeah, I should really get more into my numbers, but I didn't. Well, I made like an Excel export and I cleaned it up, but I never got like the numbers out of it. So I'm very close to it. But yeah, I would say average a month. Let me count. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 16, 17. Well, maybe 20 to 26.
Yeah.
Yeah, so quite some.
Yeah. Yeah, it's similar to like the months that I had where I did the most. There was around, it was around 20 workshops that I did on like the busiest months.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to try to do with the studio as well. Try to keep it at like 15, 20, maybe more. To really make the most of it now that, you pay rent and taxes and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, I paid taxes before, but now with the studio, it's like,
even more.
Even more, yeah.
Yeah.
And how do you fill your workshops? Like, what kind of promotion or advertising do you do?
I actually only promote on Instagram. I really think I should do more with TikTok, for example, because that's where my future audience is for sure. And some of my audience already is. Everything I post on Instagram is also posted on Facebook automatically, but Facebook audience is a bit older than what I'm usually aiming for. So yeah, Insta is actually all that I do. I have a barter deal coming up with an online media agency, and I will be going to ask them to help me advertising on Google because I have like no clue where to start. So I will give them a workshop, and then they will teach me how to get good at that part.
Yeah.
And I had some like local like a newspaper from the area and a magazine in which one I didn't pay for, one it's still sort of in the air because I thought it's so small. They're probably already happy that I wrote my own article and gave them a picture, and they were like, yeah, can we have 300 euros to place it? I was like,
wow.
Well, let me think about it a bit longer. So yeah. But that's basically all that I do. So I know there's like a lot more that I could do, I think. But it's not my expertise. And that's where you really notice that, you're doing it all on your own, trying to sort out and find your way in what the best option is and what you can afford, basically, because everything just seems so expensive and it's hard to invest your money in something if you're not sure what you're going to get out of it. So yeah, so if you have any advice to me and your listeners.
Yeah, do you on Instagram, do you just post organically or
No,
do you also
I run ads? Yeah.
Okay. And do you run ads, like, do you just boost on the app or do you run it on the Meta ads platform?
Well, I do it now through the website, so through Meta ads, I think. Because there was one, you should not do it through Instagram anymore because you need to pay Apple as well. I think it was something like that. Yeah, so I'm doing it now through Meta ads.
Yeah. Yeah, the only advice I could give you is that I know that Facebook is an older audience, and you might not get a lot of engagement there, but I would still run ads on Facebook because if you're running on Facebook, they'll usually also, if you have the accounts connected, they'll also be running on Instagram, and you'd be surprised, like the old people, sometimes they also come to workshops. Like I have a lot of people in their, 40s and 50s. They're not old people, but I have a lot of like 40s.
Me old now. Yeah, funny.
No, like I don't mean that they're old at all, but
older.
But yeah, older than me, I guess.
Yes.
And so you'd be surprised. Like I would test it out at one workshop to run ads on Facebook because you might be surprised.
So basically do it the
They'd
other way around, not through Instagram and also automatically have it posted on Facebook, but posted on Facebook, automatically have it posted on Insta as well.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
when you run an ad on Facebook, it will automatically, if the accounts are connected when you're setting it up,
yeah,
it'll ask you for it, and if they are connected, they will run in both platforms.
yeah,
But if you're getting good results by just doing, like, I would test out to see, can you get more bookings if you do
yeah,
it that way, just for like the sake of improvement.
yeah.
But if you're already doing something that it's working, then I wouldn't say I don't do that.
Well, it's working,
Um,
but I want more.
Improve, yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I would do that. And I think Google. I'm also gonna, now that I have, once I open the studio, that I have a location. Yeah, I'm gonna try to allocate some budget for Google Ads, because I'm not an expert. I've done them in the past. Like, I've set up accounts in the past, and I've managed some campaigns, but
Hmm.
yeah, I'm not an expert. It gets to a point where I don't know what else to do. Like, I've set it up, it's running, it's working, but to improve it, I'm not really sure what to do.
Yeah,
Um, but I think I'm gonna, start it for the studio, and then once it gets to a point where, like, oh, I don't know what else to do, then I'll try to see if I can hire someone.
yeah.
But
To
yeah,
help
I'm
you.
excited for that. Because I think, like, there's a lot that you can do at, like, that setting up stage of figuring out your account and setting up the first campaigns, and yeah, you can do that sort of work by yourself.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm
yeah. And
excited
in
to.
when I was looking at it, Google also says if you spend 400 euros, in my case euros,
Hmm.
we give you an additional 400 euros to
Hmm.
spend on Google Ads. So I was like, well,
Yeah,
that's a good
yeah. They
deal
have
as
like
well.
those. Yeah, they have those intro deals, and every now and then they'll do deals because they want people to spend more money.
Yeah, makes
And
sense.
they're not like spending their own money. They're just giving you credit, but it's not like they're spending the money.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I think if you have a location like a studio, having Google Ads running, it could be really good.
yeah.
It could be a bit expensive, but yeah, I think it's really good. And I've been looking at, like, all the paint and sip studios in my city. They're always running Google Ads. And so many people search, like, paint and sip. So if you can try to get your business, on the top
Higher.
few,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I think that's a great move. I'm excited to see how that helps your business. And are you thinking um about hiring people, or what, or can you just not afford it, or
I can
what do you
afford it
think?
now. I
Yeah.
still have some nice open account with my friends of the taxes. So
Mm-hmm.
I owe them some money for 2023. Anyone
Okay.
listening, if you start running your own business, sort out what taxes you need to pay so you can pay them
Yeah.
ahead and you're not stuck with it like a year later.
Mm-hmm.
So once that gap is filled and the money is paid, then I can start saving.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's exactly what you're saying. If you're hiring someone, you need to train them, and well, they
Mm-hmm.
won't bring you any money. It will just cost you money because they will
Mm-hmm.
be spending time with me while learning, and I need to pay them for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, there needs to be like a
Mm-hmm.
budget for it.
Yeah.
So I'm not there yet. So I'm really, really hoping next year. I'm having quite some people joining the workshops, and they're like, "Oh,
Mm-hmm.
if you're ever looking for anyone, let me know."
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's challenging to find like the right fit
Mm-hmm.
because especially in the beginning, I would prefer to just hire one person
Yeah.
and work as a team and go from there. I don't actually have the ambition to like have a whole team like you do. I
Mm-hmm.
would love to, go on a holiday though and let other people
Mm-hmm.
run the workshop. So I don't know yet. And I really think if you don't have like a clear idea about what you want and what you need, it's not the
Mm-hmm.
right time. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. And also, you can have just one person helping you, or have like one main person helping you, and that still allows you to go on a holiday, and that
yeah,
person is just running things.
yeah,
Yeah. I think, like, the reason that I want more of a team is because, like, if one person gets sick, I don't have to
It's
jump
still
in.
you.
Someone else,
Yeah.
yeah, it's someone
Yeah.
else that can jump in. And also like so many, like I want to do more workshops in crafts that I don't have a lot of experience in. So
Hmm.
trying to get people that have experience already with that craft, it's like a huge, benefit for the
Benefit.
business.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I'm just excited for that sort of stage. But I totally feel you. That when you hire someone, it's like you're giving a few steps back to then go further,
Yeah.
and it can really mess up your mind because you're like, oh, but now I need to like pay myself, but I can't really afford it. And like, yeah, you have to budget it out and be okay with for these next 3 months or 6 months. For me, it was like almost 9 months because I also took a break. So I took a break and then she took a break. So altogether it was like 9 months, but realistically it was probably like 6 months.
Yeah.
And there was like 6 months where I was like paying someone, and I also kind of had to pay me. I'm lucky enough that like I have my online business, so I don't have to take that much
Hmm.
from the workshop business. But the workshop business still has to like, pay its own bills and taxes and everything.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, hiring someone is you have to. I totally feel you. You have to have like a budget for it, and
Yeah.
he'll feel very scary at first.
Yes. But we
But
know
I'm
now you just need to do
yeah.
it.
Yeah, you
And
just need to do
then,
it. So you'll
yeah.
get to it. So get to it. One of the questions I was going to ask you is, what was the biggest challenge you faced with your business? I don't know if you just mentioned the taxes thing. I don't know if you want to
Yeah.
go a little bit more into it.
Sure. Sure. No
Um,
problem. I can teach others. So,
no, like, yeah, I don't mean like teach people how to do taxes, obviously, because
no, no, no,
this is
no,
not
no.
financial advice,
So,
but
no, definitely not.
but
Don't take any advice from me.
if that's not your biggest challenge, like, yeah,
It
I'm just
was.
quite
It
curious. Yeah.
No, it's still sticking on me. So it's if I look at like the whole running the whole business, everything went so smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, in the Netherlands, you pay like quarterly taxes, and then each year you pay also income taxes and like
Mm-hmm.
healthcare taxes.
Yeah.
And that can be quite a large number by the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And my accountant, he told me like once or twice while I started, like maybe
Mm-hmm.
think about it, something like that. And I was like, yeah, I'll think about it when I have to, because I just didn't realize. I was like, I'm paying quarterly taxes, so that's all my
Mm-hmm.
taxes, right? So I didn't
Mm-hmm.
really get into it. And then it was like January 1st, I'm kid you not, of the new year. And then I realized, wait, there's more taxes. And we talked about this, but I just ignored it for the
Mm-hmm.
entire year. So basically it was 8,000 euros that I still needed to pay.
Yeah.
Yes. And Dutch taxes, they're very friendly, so you can ask for like a
Mm-hmm.
delay in payment, and the delay, the end of it is coming quite close. And I was thinking, oh, by the time I'll have the money, and then my car broke down, and all life
Mm,
happens. Yeah,
yeah.
so all the money that was in there, it got less and less. So yeah, it's such an important thing to pay it on time and take your
Mm-hmm.
finances like seriously.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to stress about at least about that part, and you can just
Mm-hmm.
run your business and focus on that. So for sure, for me, that was the biggest challenge. Even while
Mm-hmm.
having like a good accountant, I still
Mm-hmm.
sort of messed it up.
Mm-hmm.
And in that, the whole thing is actually the biggest challenge is not to be too harsh on yourself. It's a learning curve also for me. I made a mistake. I'm just still going
Mm-hmm.
to pay in time, but I wish I had just had it all set aside in 2023 so I could just pay at the beginning of 2024. So that was a
Mm-hmm.
valuable lesson. So for 2024, I paid ahead. So
Mm-hmm.
now I'm up with everything after
Mm-hmm.
2023. But
Yeah.
yeah, for sure that was still is like a big challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I feel you. I've been quite lucky in that sense that like I'm so aware um of like taxes. I think what you were saying about the Netherlands, it sounds very similar to New Zealand.
Hmm.
Um, so you always have your income tax, and just a little disclaimer, this is not financial advice. We're just
Yes,
talking
it's
about stuff.
100%. It's not.
It's not. But yeah, here in New Zealand you have income tax, and everyone has to pay that. Like,
Yeah,
and
yearly.
usually, yeah, yearly. Well, here in New Zealand you pay as you go. Because if you have a job, the job will pay the taxes for you.
Yes. Yeah. We have the same.
If you are self-employed, then you can choose to either pay as you go, or you can, I think, pay like at the end of the financial year, which I think it's like March or April.
Yeah.
But then if you have a business, if you make over 60K of revenue in your business here in New Zealand, then you have to register for GST, which is good and service taxes. So that's like your business tax.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and then you can choose to pay. I think you can choose to pay every 3 months, or every 6 months, or every year. It's up to you. The frequency, like you pay the same, but it's up to you the frequency. And so, yeah, I've been quite good because I'm aware of it. And, I've always saved money for taxes. So I haven't run into any troubles. But I feel it's like something that, at this, when I very first started my business, I was like, oh, I can't think about this right now. And I ignored it for like the first 6 months.
Yes,
but
exactly.
It wasn't, but also the first 6 months, I also didn't hit those 60K. Because I made like around 50 something K in the first 6 months. So I was like, oh, it's actually fine. Like I can go from now and set up my business tax and all of that. But yeah, it's very important. But I feel you.
Do your own research. That's the message we're giving here.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's okay to start without thinking about it. As in like your first 2 or 3 workshops, you're figuring out the craft, you're figuring out your advertising. Like I think that's it. If you start thinking about everything, I think you can get overwhelmed and then not do it. Yeah. So that's usually like what I tell people, like just start. If you've never done a workshop, just start with a couple workshops. Don't think about, like, you always pay taxes in the past. So you'll be fine. And if you're doing 1 or 2 workshops, you're not going to have $1,000 bill of tax. Like, it's a minimal thing. But once you start of like, okay, I want to set up my own business and I want to do this, even if you just do it part-time, but you do it frequently and you want it to make it a business, then you have to take not just taxes, but like insurance, like all of that.
And I think if you start and you realize the amount of taxes you need to pay, it can also be demotivating. You'll be like, okay, half of my money I will be giving away again. But it's good to keep in your mind that the price you ask for a workshop, it also need to include a certain amount of taxes. So it's also on your depending your price level, it's part of it. So
yeah, totally. Thank you for sharing that. To kind of finish, would you mind to I mean, I also don't even know if you will know those kind of numbers. I remember we talked about like your yearly revenue, but I was wondering if you would mind sharing what the profit margin of like overall your business is.
I should have like a clear answer. I was thinking about before we had this talk. I had a end of year talk with my accountant, and he told me, because I didn't know, but he made like an export. So in 2024, I made revenue about 95K in euros. And this is from the top of my head, so I'm not too sure about it, but I think my profit was around between 40 and 50K, I think.
That's pretty good. That's like almost 40% margin, isn't it?
Yeah.
I would say that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So much of your profit margin will be like dependent on where you are, because some materials, or like the type of workshops you run, because some materials will be so much more expensive and others will be cheaper. So
Yeah, and it's also
So yeah,
depending
that's
which workshops I'm
yeah.
giving. And I had some collaborations with Sarah from the other business,
Mm-hmm.
so I made like good money on that. But I also had to do like loads of purchases. So at the end
Mm-hmm.
of the story, I didn't
Yeah.
make as much, but it looks great in your yearly numbers in
Mm-hmm.
the revenue. So yeah,
Yeah.
oh well,
Yeah, I feel you. Because
yeah,
you do kits as well, right?
no.
No. Oh, I thought you did.
It's a clear no. Now, well, actually, funny story. I started a second business because I get this question a lot. Like, do you also do kids parties? I'm not
Mm-hmm.
great with children. I tried some of my workshops to do with like kids of my friends. It's
Mm-hmm.
possible, but things become messy. So you need to do things in a different way.
Yeah.
Um, and also like my brand it's all focused on adults.
Adults, yeah.
Yeah, so I wanted to create like a second business, um, which is like the whole brand is it's more like festive and more kids based.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just rent a box to do
Mm-hmm.
your candle dipping party at home, you with
Mm-hmm.
your children. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you everything you need and a good explanation on how to use it. Or you can do Jasmonite at home with your children in different types and forms. So I did a like a soft launch of my
Mm-hmm.
company last year. And I rented out the box a few times, so I got some feedback out of that. And now I want to add another box, but I'm still looking to find like the right booking calendar within
Mm-hmm.
Shopify to add
Mm-hmm.
to my website, so you can see straight away if the box is available or not, because that's like
Mm-hmm.
the most important part of it. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing. If people ask me, do you do kids parties, then I can just send them over to my other
Mm-hmm.
company and rent a box out of them to them if
Mm-hmm.
they want to.
Yeah. Yeah, that is such a good idea. I remember we talked about it. And yeah, we haven't really talked that much about the I guess your second business.
Well, it's not really alive
It's
yet, so yeah,
yeah. So it's just sticking alongside the workshops.
yeah,
Yeah, I feel you.
yeah.
Um, I was actually when I said if you do kids, I was actually saying like kits, as in like craft kits
Uh,
to do at home. But it's great that you thought it was kids, because it's also like a really good question that
that's why you were
I
like,
wanted to
I
ask.
think you do. Yeah,
Yeah,
I have. So the craft kits I
yeah.
made for the other business to supply for her members, I offer them myself as well in my web shop.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's not like a core thing. It's because I have them laying
Yeah.
around anyway.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah, so it's one is just a Jasmonite kit where you can make a trinket dish at home in the marbling technique, and the
mm-hmm,
other kit is a lino printing kit in which you
mm-hmm,
can create two linos and there's stamps
mm-hmm,
included, and you can make your own like 12 prints with it.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, to wrap up your, I mean, I know that we can keep talking about for hours and hours, but I don't think the podcast people would appreciate that.
Nah.
So to wrap up our conversation, if you had like one piece of advice or recommendation for someone who is thinking about doing workshops, what would you say?
I would say gather some friends and friends of friends, so people you don't really know but know a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
at
Mm-hmm.
your dining room table and just give them a workshop. So just find some craft that you enjoy, which is not too expensive to explain to others, and don't make it big. If you want to teach them like watercolor painting, just get like two or three kids. People can share material and just teach them to create like one piece of art, and then just see if you actually enjoy doing it, if you have a way of explaining things so people understand, and if they have fun. And from there, if you like doing it, just please go do it. Create
Mm-hmm.
the website and just start and see if it happens. Because if you just keep thinking, it will never happen.
Yeah, that is very good advice, and it's also what I recommend to my students. So there you
Yeah.
go. Thank you so much, Miranda. Miranda. I don't even know how to pronounce. I try to
I don't
pronounce with
even know
a
how
Dutch.
to pronounce my name in English. I'm always,
Miranda.
it's so awkward. Like,
How do you
hello,
say it in
I'm
Dutch?
Miranda. Miranda.
Miranda.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank
We can
you so
practice
much,
when you're here.
Miranda.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And thank you to everyone watching, and I will see you on the next episode. Bye.
Bye.
Me click.